You're listening to the True North Success Podcast. Real stories of personal, professional, and financial wins from Alberta's best. With your hosts, Gary Ma and Amy Kim.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today, my special guest is Patricia Morgan. She's an award-winning counseling therapist, author, and resiliency expert, dedicated to helping individuals strengthen their everyday well-being. With a master's in clinical psychology, she has authored hundreds of articles and several books, including the Canadian bestseller Frantic Free, and the award-winning Return to Center and Love Her As She Is, Lessons from a Daughter Stolen by Addictions. Patricia is a past president of the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers. She is a recipient of Spirit of Caps Award and was named Woman of Vision by Global TV and the WCA. Known for her meaningfully fun delivery, she empowers audiences to embrace their inner strength. It is my pleasure to have Patricia Morgan on the show today. Welcome to the show.
Wow, Gary, thank you. I think you read that almost better than I wrote it originally.
So I gave a quick overview of your success, but can you fill in the details of what you do, who you serve, and how long you've been doing this for?
Doing this. Well, we have to define this. So I have two main roles. One is a counseling therapist, and the other one is a professional speaker. And as I get older and call myself a spunky seniorpreneur, because I'm in my late 70s, I am more and more speaking about resilient aging. So I've become an expert basically in emotional resilience, personal resilience, whether that's from the platform or whether that's my work with clients here in my home office. I have a lovely little tucked away home office that I see people.
Right on. So what was your driving force to become a counseling therapist?
That's because I ended up realizing how old was I? That was in my late 20s. When I realized with 3 young children, I had an anger management issue, screaming and yelling and adult temper tantrums. And the day I caused some physical harm to one of my kids, this is quite revealing for some people, I went into therapy. And 10 years later, I was a therapist.
So really, it was from your own experience.
Absolutely.
That you wanted to perhaps help others.
Yes, which reminds me of one of my favorite quotations by the philosopher Hillel. If I am not for me, and that's years of therapy and investment, it's the best investment you can make in yourself. If I'm not for me, who will be? And the second part of Hillel's quotation is, if I'm only for me, what is the point? So when we draw in experience, when we draw in healing, when we draw in skill, what are we going to do with it? I took all those courses on what was life purpose. What's the purpose of my life? And I concluded after filling in little charts and feeling guilty that I didn't have everything in balance. I'm not a big fan of life balance. Good grief, when the newborn baby came along, it was all about the baby. And I'm not going to feel guilty about not meditating, for a while. So, I say, know your strengths and gifts and give what you can. That to me is life purpose. Know the skills and talents that you have and give what you can. That's about it.
So how do you find those talents, within yourself? How do you go about that?
Oh, I love that question. Who comes to you and asks you what questions? Hey, Gary, can you help me find my dream home? Hey, Gary, what's happening with the real estate market right now? You really pay attention to what people come to you and trust you for. And there are inventories online. You can take a Myers-Briggs inventory. It's available online right now. In the Second World War, the Myers-Briggs inventory, developed by 2 women, by the way, who were studying Jungian psychology, developed the Myers-Briggs to decide which woman would go into what position in the factories when all the men went off to war during the Second World War, and they had to quickly place them doing different jobs that they'd never had, because up till then, woman's place was in the kitchen, right? And then that changed. Although I had a grandpa that was still using that line in the 1950s and the 1960s, you women belong in the kitchen. So the Myers-Briggs is wonderful. You just Google Myers-Briggs. And also Martin Seligman, who is the founder of positive psychology, developed what's called a VIA signature strengths. And you take a questionnaire, 240 questions, and your top 5 strengths come up.
Wow.
And it's so affirming, very affirming. So there's 3, I've just offered 3 ways that if you're unsure about what gifts, strengths, skills you have, take an inventory and pay attention to what people come to you and ask you for. There's also, I'll add a 4th. What is the activities that you do that energize you and don't deplete you? Organizing depletes me. Having a great talk like I'm having with you, Gary, energizes me. Like you can interview me anytime.
Right on. So tell me a little bit more about your journey to become a professional speaker, because that's a little bit unusual, and for a lot of people, it can be pretty scary.
Oh yeah, there's the old saying that people would rather be in the coffin than give the eulogy. Right. So yeah, professional speaking or even public speaking is a concern and a fear for people. Oftentimes, I'm moving into my therapy. I jump from being a professional speaker who can be outlandish, and you have to have some fun from the platform, or it's boring. And then the soft, lovely, engaging therapist. But for many people, they got shamed in the classroom with all the students laughing or jeering or taunting and teasing, right? And so I see clients that can hardly speak up for themselves because they wanted to disappear. So yes, it is a scare for many. For me, I grew up with saying you talk too much, and I remember calling my mother and saying, "Remember you saying I talk too much? Guess what? They're paying me now." So earlier years, I was doing parent education. I was an early childhood educator. That's why it was so shaming when I was yelling and screaming and having temper tantrums with my own children, and my own wounding from my own childhood came up, and I couldn't contain it on my own. I needed help, and I've had some wonderful therapists. So in early childhood, I was always in front of children talking. And then I ended up becoming a college instructor. So I'm in front of a class. And then I became a therapist through my own therapy. And I continued to do workshops for parents and workshops in the community. And I've been doing workshops for years. And when I was 53, I got laid off my dream job. It was a feminist job, empowering women that were supported by social services. And our job was in 14 weeks to get them back to school or in the workplace. I loved the work. We did workshops with them. There was a group of them, and we did individual counseling, group counseling. I was like a pig in mud in that program. And then the government decided, we're going to close it down. Women can just go to the regular employment programs. We used to take women and take them out of their home, get them to the women's shelter if they were battered. It was a wonderful program that changed women's lives. But the same month that this program was being closed, I was asked if I would speak at Calgary's first Women in Wellness Conference at the Palliser Hotel. There were 300 women that signed up, and 210 decided to come out to my breakout session.
Yeah.
And I got a standing ovation. And some woman threw herself in the aisle and said, we have to sing to her. And they sang, for she's a jolly good fellow, for she's a jolly good fellow. I'm just standing there going, so the organizer came to me and said, Patricia, I know you're being laid off at the end of this month. And look at all the excitement. And I said, uh-huh. She said, well, we get phone calls a lot. Would you like to go and speak at women's conferences? I said, oh, Mary, the $400 you paid me was nice, but I must have put in 40 hours getting ready to do this because, bigger audience.
Right.
She said,
Yeah.
well, you see our keynote speaker, Linda Edgecombe? I said, uh-huh. Oh, my phone's ringing, but I'm going to not pay attention. It will stop on third ring. Anyway, they said, you know what? We paid her $5,000. We put her up at the hotel here, and we flew her here.
Wow.
I said, you better introduce me. So I got introduced to Linda Edgecombe. She's a well-known speaker in North America, humor out of the yin-yang. And she looked up, she's busy selling books. She looked up and she said, join Canadian Association of Professional Speakers. There's a chapter here. So I joined, and the next month I was on the board. Then I created a speaker school, blah, 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 blah. I was 53, and that was close to 25 years ago.
Wow. That was really a life-changing turning event.
Yes, and I get more than $400 to go and speak.
That's awesome. I mean, story that you have, with the journey that you've taken, like when you like 25, 30 years ago now.
Not 30. Not
wow.
30.
Okay. All right.
25. That would push me over 80.
Many years ago. How about?
I was 53. I'm 79. You do the math.
So
you're good at math. You're a realtor. You're good at math, right?
So I mean, from that journey, what kind of sets you apart from the competition? Like, what comes easy to you that others might find challenging?
When you get feedback, you pay attention to it, and anybody can find it. You know that anybody can find information on the internet these days.
Yeah.
So you got to go to differentiate yourself. Oftentimes, you can differentiate yourself with education, knowledge, but personality often trumps. So, but those combinations are important. You have to have credibility with an audience around your experience, your success, your education, right? So I'm not going to listen to somebody who just went for a liver operation about, liver transplant, about how to do surgery, but I will listen to a transplant surgeon talk about cautions around surgery, right? So you have to have the credibility, and you have to have the knowledge. And from ordinary topics, particularly like resilience, stress management, that kind of thing, even sales, you can learn a lot on the internet. So these days, professional speaking has grown into creating experience. And I have 3 words that I use to define me, and most professional speakers do. And that is, Patricia delivers her message in a fun, insightful, and uplifting manner.
Nice.
Now, I have been told that it's hard when you're a pickle in the pickle jar to know that you're pickled or what you have to offer. But the mirror I've received over and over again in feedback forms are those 3 words. And I don't know whether you've experienced that with me in our conversation yet, but I've been told that's what comes through is fun, insightful, and uplifting.
Absolutely. Like this conversation are all, more than that, those 3 words, right?
Right. And so what are the 3 words that, might describe you? And that becomes a brand. And it has to, I remember my friend Roger Grant, he's a branding expert. One of the wonderful things about the professional speaking world is we have such diversity, but what do we have in common? We make some money from the spoken word.
Yeah.
I've got friends now that are salespeople, and I've got people that are motivators and energizers and fitness people. Oh, some of the fitness health people, they hang from ropes and they bike in the snow and they do all kinds of activities I don't do, but they're my friends because we're in this community together. So if any of your listeners are interested, there is the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers, which you have this diverse population that we share some of the tips and strategies to deliver our message.
Right. Well, speaking about tips or suggestions, what would you give someone who wants to be more successful?
Decide what success means for you.
Right.
I've already shared my little formula for life purpose, which to me is success, and that is know your gifts and strengths and give what you can. And and also Hillel's, if I'm not for me, who will be? And if it were only for me, what's the point? What is knowing the difference that you can make in other people's lives leads to success, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what do people want? What are they struggling with? Whether it's to find the right and perfect home for them, find their heart place to land, and you help with that, right? And I help people with trauma, and I also help audiences to know that they're lovable, they're capable, and most definitely they're resilient. No matter the challenges that face them, they can either stay steady or fall down and get help to get back on track. And I do want to share one of my favorite little poems by Emily Dickinson. Ready?
Sure.
Yep. If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life the aching, or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin onto his nest again, I shall not live in vain.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for reciting that poem.
I was reading it.
That's okay. Reading, reciting, good enough.
I was prepared to be with you, Gary.
What's one of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome in your career, and how were you able to turn that into a positive?
Oh, I love that. So, life has got this projection, and I'm going to use another quotation. I love the Serenity Prayer, and this sustains me, along with Hillel's quotation, and that is, grant me the serenity to accept what I cannot change, the courage to change what I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The Serenity Prayer is used by many of the 12-step programs, and it helps sustain a lot of people. And so what are the challenges? It's accepting what you cannot change. That's one of them. And taking courage to change what you can. So I tried, when I had that anger problem, I was busy trying to change my kids into being perfect kids, and change my husband into being the perfect husband. And I was spending any time figuring out why I couldn't change and be the person I wanted to be. Most people do not do the internal work. They spend a fortune making themselves happy with spending money on the external, the cars, oftentimes education. Just because I've learned that just because you have a PhD, you're not necessarily feeling happy or content. Happy is overemphasized. The whole happy. There's a thing called toxic positivity. It can go too far. Human beings need to have some suffering to appreciate that other people are suffering in this world right now. We need to have some compassion. If you want to feel anything, feel compassion for yourself. That's self-compassion. I do workshops on self-compassion, as well as compassion for others. It's impossible, actually, to feel compassion for others if you haven't developed some compassion for yourself and making mistakes. So I had a father who used to call me stupid. He would yell, "You stupid female, shut up," to my mother and me. So I believed him. I was a little kid. I believed him, and I failed grade 7. Oh, my goodness. Are you hearing the phone or not? Or is it just me?
No, there's no
Oh,
fear.
that's wonderful. But I'm just hearing it. All right. So back to my challenge. So there we go. I believed I was stupid. So I took that belief, as you believeth it, so it shall be.
Right.
Thoughts are very powerful, and yet they mean nothing. They're just thoughts. So I thought I was stupid. So I failed grade 7. I dropped out of high school. I married a guy who was at the age of 16 was in university and graduated with an honors degree at 20. And I just thought, if I'm married to him, it doesn't matter that I'm stupid. But
Right.
it did matter that I believed that, because boy, did I get twigged,
Mhm.
activated into anger and incompetence and a lot of nasty, self-talk. So that was
Yeah.
probably my biggest challenge, and it took me a lot of courage to take my first university class when I was 30.
Mm.
Then I think when I moved to Calgary,
Hmm.
we were 40, and I was isolated, and my mental health took a dip.
Mm.
I will say this: we are hardwired for connection. My book, Return to Center: Simple Strategies to Navigate Distress, Depression, and
Hmm.
Disconnection. That word disconnection is very, very important. If you do not have a support group, your mental health will be challenged. Isolation and the work on loneliness, the research on loneliness tells us that loneliness is equal to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Mentally and physically, you will
Wow.
suffer in isolation. It's very well studied by Julianne Holt-Lunstead, 10-year study. And then the Surgeon General of the United States, Vivek Murthy, put out a book, I believe in 2021, called Together. And he also emphasized Julianne Halstead's research as well as other research, and basically says we need to build community. We need to build connection. And so that one time that I did not have connection
Yeah.
was, I was lying to my family. I would tell them, "Oh, I'm tired at 7 p.m. at night. I go to bed. I'd get the kids off to school and they go to bed. I would have supper ready, but I was sleeping." And that went on for 4 months. If I went to a doctor, I probably would have got um, diagnosed as clinical depression. But
Mm.
January, I said, enough, enough. And I started volunteering, and I took a course. And where I was volunteering, I didn't finish the volunteer training. They hired me, and I became a family therapist for 3 to 4 years. And my career's how I've been a career counselor, family counselor, couple counselor, marriage counselor, and individual therapy for trauma. So I've had a lot of different, but that's my golden rule: stay connected.
I mean, that's a fantastic rule. And your thoughts about doing the inner work.
Mhm.
Um, like that is, I think in my opinion is huge, because a lot of people don't want to do that work. They don't want to actually see what's going on inside.
But I, you think it, you
Hmm.
make you. I'll
Hmm.
do this with audiences. I say, okay, take your hand, touch your heart, and say, I make me.
I make me,
Yeah, and then look at me and say, you make you.
you make you.
Yeah, so I make me, Gary, and you make you. And then I add, by the way, Gary, you did a great job.
Hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, but how are you making you?
Hmm.
How are you making your thoughts? Are you thinking the thoughts you want to think? If you keep thinking the niggly, put down, critical, sarcastic, I'm stupid, whatever thought in there, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that thought doing to you?
Right.
And
Right.
what's going to happen if you keep thinking that thought? And then what do you really want to think? And what
Yeah.
would support you? And then if you are having trouble managing the thoughts, and even a smell or somebody's words or something that you see activates your nervous system and that you're not feeling safe, that's usually a signal. Also, nightmares of unresolved trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And that usually in the past, usually something happened, and there is lots of people, something like close to 70% of people have had what's called adverse childhood experiences. If you're interested about whether you have childhood trauma, look up adverse childhood experiences. And there's a score. Again, this was
Mm-hmm.
a over 10-year study, adverse childhood experiences, that talks about emotional, verbal, physical, sexual abuse, and neglect.
Right. Right.
Most of us have had one of those at some point, and didn't get closure that that wasn't about you. That was the caregivers were not there at that moment to help. A caring, healthy adult wasn't there to
Right.
help you understand what's really going on. So in that moment, to have some sense of power and control, because you have none when you're a kid, you decided you weren't good enough, pretty enough, smart enough, pleasing enough, go on and on with the enough. And then
Right.
maybe you were bad or stupid, or the list goes on. So people have these beliefs, and they take over,
Yeah.
and they repeat them, and then they start to think that's who they are.
They start to believe those
Yes,
thoughts,
that's
and,
right.
and
Right.
that's
Yeah,
who they think they become, or that's who they become.
that's right. Be careful how you end. I am.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, most religions have
Yeah.
the I am on their temples, I am
Okay.
the way, the light, whatever. And it's a sacred statement. So when I used to say to myself over and over and over again, when I'd make little mistakes, I'd say, I am stupid. I am stupid.
Right.
I was strengthening that neural pathway so that it
Yeah.
would automatically. So
Yeah.
it takes time to do the inner work to say, oh, you little patsy. That's not
Mm-hmm.
true. That was your
Mm-hmm.
dad passing on generational trauma. He didn't
Right.
get out of grade 8. So when you start to do the inner work,
Yeah.
and realize that lots of messages got planted in this innocent brain. Let me show you something.
Okay.
Yeah. She doesn't have any of this, and she's not the most beautiful thing in the world at all. But adults say things, do things, and she ends up with these neural pathways. We have to
Mm.
be careful what we put in little darling's brain.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
So most of us have a little me in there
Yeah.
that sometimes overwhelms with emotions.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's switch gears a little bit. It sounds like things are going really well for you and your business as entrepreneur and business
Yeah.
executive. A lot of time is spent running your active business. When looking towards the future, many don't want to have to be working so hard for that income. So some of them are looking at different ways of creating income and profits
Mm-hmm.
outside of actively working. Things like maybe investing in stocks, bonds, crypto, or using a financial planner or something like that. What are your thoughts about ways of creating income outside of your work and active business?
I'm a therapist and a speaker, and I'm married to a financial genius. So, and what does he do?
Mm-hmm.
He, he I don't know that it's still printed or not anymore, but he gets a Canadian magazine on finance.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He hasn't got it for the last couple of years. But here's the deal. If you're younger, please pay attention to investing in your older years. And my husband and I have done very well in doing that. And if you're older and you still need to be employed, that's okay. There's actually organizations now supporting older people. There's a huge percentage of people over 65 that cannot afford to retire.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm asked when I'm going to retire, I say when I'm tired,
Mm-hmm.
because I love my work. Many people don't love their work. My work energizes me.
Right.
I'm not longing to go traveling. I'm not longing to play cribbage. I'm not longing to play euchre, or bridge.
Right.
That's something that excites me. I love stimulating conversations like this. I love talking about trauma, whatever energizes you. So
Yeah.
that's investing in your mental cognition. And by the way, if you don't keep learning, it's cognitive reserve. If you don't
Hmm.
keep learning, and if you don't look after your hearing, you're 30% more likely to create dementia.
Right.
So
Right.
we have to, so this whole thing. And if you're not good with finance, find yourself a good financial manager. So, and banks, we have a whole setup with RBC right now
Hmm.
because my husband's health is starting to fail. And so when he started to have some health issues, we went to RBC and said, look, we want a long-term plan here. So,
Right.
so financial stress can create significant mental health issues. So looking after your finances is key, not just so that you can have stuff, but also for your mental health. If you start worrying about paying the rent, buying food,
Yeah.
your brain goes to survival mode, and you
Hmm.
can't actually be in relationships in very healthy ways when you're in survival mode. It's like as if a bear was chasing you. You're not going to say, "Did I kiss my wife a lovely kiss this morning?" It's
Yeah.
you're in survival mode. So finances is whatever way you do it, and ask friends. We don't, as a culture, talk about sex and finances. It's
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
they're like taboo topics.
Taboo. Yes.
Taboo, right? And it's important you find somebody you trust to have those conversations, right?
Exactly. I mean, those are those are great points, to really look after your finances if you can, if you're younger, put things away
Mm-hmm.
for, your
Invest.
older days. And retirement can mean different things for different people.
Yes.
Just like success can mean lots of different things to different people.
Yep.
Like you don't have to quote retire and not do anything except play cribbage and play golf and stuff. You can still be doing things. Like you don't have to actually quote retire, right?
Well, like it's all an option in this day and
Sure.
age. All
Absolutely.
an option, and the older workforce has a lot of experience and knowledge, and to put that together with younger generation, it's pretty powerful. There is an organization that's operated by my friend Jeanette Anderson called Matrapreneur World, and she is supporting older people in
Hmm.
either starting a business or expanding their business in their retirement years. And she's got some interesting statistics about the number of older people that financially cannot retire.
Mm.
She herself uh, lives what's called the laptop lifestyle. She does not have a
Okay.
home, does
Yeah.
not have a home. She travels with her laptop and does her coaching online. So she's chosen, and about 65. So
Okay.
she's chosen that route. I'm pretty home based,
Yeah.
other than my speaking. I'll
Right.
travel for that. I'll be in where will I be? I'll be in Halifax in May, and
Okay.
probably in June, Lethbridge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Easy travel. But
Right. Right.
yeah, each individual has to decide what is my plan for when I get older. And there are people that get a nice package from a corporation, but a lot of that is changing in this day. And we have a lot of people that are entrepreneurs running their own business, and they have to think about socking away so much every month so that they have security in their older years. And we are living older. I mean, the expansion,
Hmm.
the 65 line, I think that was created in 18 something. And like it's very outdated. Look at me. I'm 79. I got a lot of life in me. I'm not.
Yeah.
No, no, I got life in me.
No, you do. Like that. That's fantastic, right? As we're wrapping up our interview, what kind of exciting plans do you have in the works in the next 6 to 12 months?
Oh, Well, in May, I will be in Halifax. I'm on the national board of the Canadian Counseling and Psychotherapy Association. I represent all the counseling therapists in Alberta and the Northwest Territories. It's a great honor. And I also will be presenting there Parts Work 101, Ways to Heal the Inner Child. I also, when I call myself Little Patsy, doing that. So I'm very excited about that. Our younger daughter, has moved from Amsterdam. She lived there for 13 years with her husband, to Spain. And she and her husband are quite savvy. So I have a daughter and a son-in-law who have retired to Spain, and I'm looking forward to their swimming pool. That's probably going to be in September.
Nice. So, Patricia, that wraps it up. And thank you so much for your time today and sharing your thoughts and tips with us. It was a real pleasure to have you on the show. And Patricia, if people want to connect with you, what should they do?
Please do a search for Solutions for Resilience, Patricia Morgan, and I hopefully will come up on the top page. Solutions for Resilience, Patricia Morgan.
Okay. You're also on LinkedIn?
I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. I gave up Twitter when Mr. Musk made it
X. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Want to share your success story? Apply to be a guest at truenorthsuccessshow.com/guest. We'd love to hear from you.